All right, hi again. So this is the third part of factoring, and actually today we will be talking about factoring or how to factoring quadratic functions. And I'm actually going to use a method that you guys really liked in class, which was the diamond method, or we call it the X method. So I'm going to start with an example. We got x squared plus 5x plus 6. As you remember when we were learning about quadratic functions, we said that it is ax squared plus bx plus c. So step one of factoring using the diamond method is that, as we always do in factoring, we find, do we have a greatest common factor? So as you see, we have three terms, 1, 2, 3 terms, and I'm going to see, is there a greatest common factor among these terms? There is not. So I'm going to move on to the second step, and I'm going to say, let me identify A, B, and C. So I'm going to look here. We're just going to match them with whatever is paired with x squared is going to be your A. So we have 1. A is 1 because that's what is paired with x squared. It's just 1. And then we have B, which is, I'm going to highlight them so that you guys can see them better. So because what's making me choosing these is because they are paired with x. This is what's paired with x squared is 1. So B is 5, and then I got C is 6. Okay, so this was step A, I'm going to call it, or let me do it 1. This is step 2. Step 3 was, I'm going to do A times C, which is 1 times 6, which is 6, and B, which is 5. And I'm going to draw the X. On top here is going to go the A times C value, always, which is 6 in this case, and B, which is 5 in this case. So fine, that's number 3. Number 4. So here's the fun part. For this one, I know it's easy, but it can get harder, of course. For number 1, think of two numbers, any two numbers, if multiplied, they will get you A times C. And same two numbers, if added, you should get B. So looking at this example here, so two numbers, if you multiply them, you would get 6. Give me all the factors of numbers that if you multiply, you would get 6. So we got 1 times 6, which is 6. Now let me see if I add them. Am I going to still get 5? What is 1 plus 6? It's 7. So these are not my factors, because in order for them to be my factors, they have to add up to B. All right, so now let me try. Give me another factor for 6. So two numbers you multiply, you will get 6. Let's try 3 times 2, which is 6. All right, cool. Now let's see if we can add these two numbers. I'm going to get 5. Did I get B? I did. That means 3 and 2 are my factors. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to go back to your diamond. On top is going to go ax whatever you have here paired with x. So it's going to be ax, ax. And then in the bottom, you have to write down your factors. And we know that the factors are 3 and 2. So that's 3 over here, and that's 2 over here. Do we know what a is? Yes, a is 1. So I'm just going to go ahead, get rid of the a, and I'm just going to write x over 3, and I'm going to do x over 2 on that side. Now that over doesn't mean it's a fraction. That over is just to separate the two terms. So if it's over and there's nothing here, then we're adding them. If it's over and there is minus in here, then we're going to subtract the factors. I'm going to show you how it's just so easy. So the part 5 is going to be, step 5 is going to be, we're going to write down the factors, x plus 3. That's coming from here. And then your other factor is x plus 2. And then if you expand this, if you want to check your answer, you're going to expand this. You will get x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6, which is x squared plus 5x plus 6. So this is the correct answer. And the very last step, I just checked the work just to make sure that you are on the right track. So this is actually your factor form for the quadratic function x squared plus 5x plus 6. I know it looks so overwhelming and a lot of work, but it's not really a lot of work. It's just more steps that you have to memorize. Alright, now I'm going to move on to the you try part. So it's totally up to you, even though I highly recommend that you stop the video or pause it for a minute. Work on the you try. What number were we on? Oh, wait. Example 10, I think. Yep. That would be example 10. And this is the you try question. And the question is going to be x squared plus 2x minus 3. Again, you have to follow your steps. You know what? I'm just going to keep flipping the page so that we make sure we're on the right track. So the first step, as always, we're going to ask ourselves that question. Do I have a greatest common factor? The question is no. So I'm going to move on to step 2, which is identify A, B, and C. So A is what is paired with x squared, B is what is paired with x, and C is what is paired with nothing, just the constant. So we got A is 1, B is 2, and C, remember, all this is one term. Negative 3, you cannot just say it's 3 because it's one term. So, look back, we're going to find A times C and B. So that's step 3. So we're going to say A times C is negative 3 and B is 2. So I'm looking for two numbers. If I multiply, I will get negative 3. And if I add them, I will get 2. So notice here I have a negative, right? So I know that one of my terms, and here I have positive. So that tells me that one of my terms has to be negative. So I'm going to start by trying. It's trial and error. So you're going to keep trying until you get to your answer. 2 times 1. 3 times 1, which is 3. Oops, I'm looking for a negative 3. So I would say, okay, let me put one of them into a negative. Let me put the negative 3. So now I got Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, all right? So that is correct. Now negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. But I'm looking for b to be positive. That tells me one thing. I can switch the negatives in here. So this is not a factor. So I'm going to say try negative 1 times 3, which is negative 3. Now let me try negative 1 plus 3. So this is a times c. Negative 1 plus 3, which is 2, and this is b. So that is correct. Then these are my factors. I got negative 1 and 3 as my factors. So we're going to go ahead and draw the diamond, or the x. A times c is going to be, or should be, negative 3, and b should be 2. So we agreed that the factors are, first what goes on top is ax. What do I have for a? I have 1 for a. So what's going to go on top is x over, and then x over. What's going to go on the bottom? My factors. Does it matter which one I put where? It doesn't matter. Okay, because 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. It doesn't matter how we flip them. So in the bottom here, make sure you write the negative 1. And here goes the 3. Now I'm going to look. Can I simplify them? I cannot simplify them, so I am satisfied with these factors. So to write it in a factor form, 2 parentheses, this, we're going to read this as x minus 1. And this is going to be x plus 3. Or I can say it's x plus 3 into x minus 1. It doesn't matter which one you put in first. They are both correct. And this is going to be your answer. I hope you guys understood every single step of this, because this is really a very important concept in Algebra 2, and you're going to be using it in if you move on to pre-calc or even in college, you know. So make sure you got a depth understanding of this. Now we're going to do 2 more. One of them is going to be, I'm going to explain it. It's about the same thing, the diamond method, but there's a little thing added to it. Yeah, I know. There's always something in math. Always. All right. My